Hans Strupp of Vanderbilt University is a leading authority on psychodynamic therapy.
The key ingredients of psychotherapy are a patient who can work in therapy, a therapist who can work with this patient, and a relationship between the two that makes it possible for the two to work together over a period of time. The patient must be motivated to work in therapy. That means they must be willing to come, they must be willing to invest of themselves, they must be willing to put forth some work. And that's very different from a patient in any other kind of treatment. We expect the patient to play an active part. The therapist must be a good listener above all, and that means to try to immerse himself or herself in the inner world of the patient, to try to understand what gives them difficulties and where they're hurting. Psychotherapy is basically a human relationship. It is not a treatment in the medical sense or in the way treatment is ordinarily understood, where somebody administers a treatment to somebody, but it is a relationship in which the two work together and the result of which we hope results in an improvement in the patient's mental health.
It was Sigmund Freud who developed the psychodynamic perspective around the turn of the century in Vienna.
He's paying attention to me in my wanting.
In classic Freudian psychoanalysis, the adult's current problem must be explored among the symbols of the past. What makes this search particularly difficult for both patient and therapist is that in Freud's view, much of the contents of the human mind are unconscious thoughts that cannot be easily brought to the surface or verbalized because they are too threatening to self-esteem.
It's almost like I want to tell you what I'm feeling, but I'm afraid to.
Afraid?
Afraid because I'm not sure how you're going to react to it, and afraid that maybe you won't be with me either the way that my parents were. That I felt unloved. I felt left out. I felt.
Did you really feel unloved?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it feels funny that you should ask me that, because I feel
one of the basic techniques of psychoanalysis is free association, in which patients talk about anything that comes to mind, thus reflecting their unconscious thoughts. Other techniques include analysis of patients' resistance and defenses, and analysis of their dreams.
I was in a very large room in some house somewhere. I don't know where it was. Huge room with very high ceilings. I was sort of leaning up against a wall in the shadows, and you were there. You were in the middle of the room, and you were holding a very, very small baby.
After listening to and talking with the patient anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week for at least a year, and usually more, the therapist interprets the material that's been gathered and begins to help the patient gain insight into the origins of his or her present anxieties, tensions, and feelings of guilt.